Amid one of the darkest periods in Israel's history, when the people lived under constant threat and oppression, a beacon of hope emerged through an extraordinary woman. Her story is not only one of courage and leadership, but also a testament to the power of God working through unlikely individuals. This is the story of Deborah, the only female judge of Israel who governed during a time when women rarely held positions of authority. After the death of Joshua, Moses' successor, Israel entered a turbulent chapter in its history. As the book of Judges recounts in its second chapter, another generation grew up after them who did not know the Lord or the works that he had done for Israel. Then the Israelites did what was evil in the sight of the Lord and served the Baals. The first chapter of Judges reveals that after Joshua's death, the Israelites sought guidance from the Lord on who should first go up against the Canaanites. As recorded in Judges 1:1-2, after the death of Joshua, the Israelites inquired of the Lord, "Who shall go up first for us against the Canaanites to fight against them?" The Lord said, "Judah shall go up. I have given the land into their hand." However, despite their initial victories, the people failed to fully obey God's command to drive out the inhabitants of the land. This disobedience had dire consequences, as recorded in Judges 2:1-3. Now the angel of the Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, "I brought you up from Egypt and brought you into the land that I swore to give to your ancestors. I said, I will never break my covenant with you. For your part, do not make a covenant with the inhabitants of this land, tear down their altars. But you have not obeyed my command. What is this you have done? So now I say, I will not drive them out before you, but they shall become adversaries to you, and their gods shall be a snare to you." This marked the beginning of a destructive cycle that would repeat for generations. The people abandoned God, turning to the idols of neighboring nations. As a consequence of this apostasy, the Lord allowed them to be oppressed by enemy nations. In the midst of their suffering, they cried out for help, and God, in his mercy, raised judges to deliver them. As we read in Judges 2:16-19, "Then the Lord raised up judges who delivered them out of the power of those who plundered them. Yet they did not listen even to their judges, for they prostituted themselves to other gods and bowed down to them. They quickly turned aside from the way in which their ancestors had walked, who had obeyed the commandments of the Lord. They did not follow their example. Whenever the Lord raised up judges for them, the Lord was with the judge, and he delivered them from the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For the Lord would be moved to pity by their groaning because of those who persecuted and oppressed them. But whenever the judge died, they would relapse and behave worse than their ancestors, following other gods, serving them, and bowing down to them. They would not drop any of their practices or their stubborn ways. Judges played a vital role during this era. They were not only military leaders, but also exercised civil and spiritual authority over the people. As highlighted in Judges 2:18, "Whenever the Lord raised up judges for them, the Lord was with the judge, and he delivered them from the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For the Lord would be moved to pity by their groaning because of those who persecuted and oppressed them." During Deborah's time, the situation had reached a critical point. For 20 years, the people of Israel suffered under the cruel oppression of Jabin, the king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. Judges 4:2-3 states, "And the Lord sold them into the hand of King Jabin of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. The commander of his army was Sisera, who lived in Harosheth Hagoyim. Then the Israelites cried out to the Lord for help, for he had 900 chariots of iron and had oppressed the Israelites cruelly for 20 years. Jabin's military commander Sisera was a feared figure throughout the region. His formidable army, equipped with 900 iron chariots, represented an overwhelming force for the time. Under his command, the Canaanite army controlled the major trade routes, restricting the free movement of the Israelites. The oppression was so severe that, as recounted in Deborah's song in Judges 5:6-8, In the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, in the days of Jael, caravans ceased, and travelers kept to the byways. The peasantry prospered no more in Israel. No more until you arose, Deborah, arose as a mother in Israel. When new gods were chosen, then war was in the gates. Was shield or spear to be seen among 40,000 in Israel? The people lived in constant fear. The main roads became perilous, forcing travelers to take hidden and winding paths. Commerce ground to a halt, and once thriving villages lay deserted. The Israelites sought refuge in the mountains and fortified places to escape their oppressors' raids. This was the grim reality of Israel when God chose to intervene through an extraordinary woman. The stage was set for one of the most remarkable demonstrations of divine power through unlikely leadership. Amid the turbulent period of the Judges, a singular figure emerges in the history of Israel. The sacred text introduces us in Judges 4:4-5 to this remarkable character. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapideth, was judging Israel at that time. She would sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the Israelites came up to her for judgment. The name Deborah, which means bee in Hebrew, perfectly reflected her nature and calling. Just as a bee tirelessly works for its hive, producing something sweet and beneficial for all, Deborah served the people of Israel with dedication and wisdom. The very meaning of her name symbolized her mission to labor diligently for the welfare of her people. The scriptures identify her as the wife of Lapidoth, highlighting her role as a spouse. It is significant that the text mentions her marital status, as it demonstrates her ability to balance her family duties while holding such a significant position of responsibility. Although the scriptures provide no further details about her husband, Lapidoth, the fact that he is mentioned indicates the balance she maintained between her personal life and her public calling. The place where Deborah fulfilled her role as a judge became such an important landmark that it was named after her. The Palm of Deborah, strategically located between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, was where she held court. This location was no coincidence. It was situated between two important cities and in a mountainous region, making it accessible to Israelites from various tribes seeking her guidance. Her wisdom and discernment were recognized throughout Israel, as evidenced in the Song of Deborah. In Judges 5:7, she is acknowledged in a unique role. The villagers ceased in Israel. They ceased to be until I arose. I, Deborah, arose as a mother in Israel. The title Mother in Israel conveyed both her authority and her maternal care for the people, underscoring how she combined strength with compassion in her leadership. The respect the people had for her judgments is reflected in the fact that the Israelites came up to her for judgment. This detail is significant, as it shows that individuals from all tribes made the journey specifically to seek her guidance. In Judges 5:9, she herself acknowledges those who trusted in her leadership. My heart is with the commanders of Israel, with those who offered themselves willingly among the people. Bless the Lord. As a prophetess, Deborah had a unique connection with God. She not only judged according to the law of Moses, but also received direct revelations from the Lord. This special ability is evident when she summons Barak for battle, relaying divine instructions with precision, as seen in the following chapter of this narrative. Her ability to convey divine messages was clear and direct. When she spoke, there was no doubt that her words came from the Lord. In Judges 5:2, she demonstrates this clarity. When the leaders lead in Israel, when the people volunteer, bless the Lord. Her message always pointed the people toward God, never to herself. What made her position even more extraordinary was the patriarchal context of Israelite society at that time. In an era when women rarely held positions of public leadership, Deborah wielded authority over all Israel. The fact that warriors and leaders sought her guidance demonstrates how her spiritual authority transcended the social conventions of the period. In Judges 5:15, we see how her leadership was acknowledged even by princes and warriors. The princes of Issachar were with Deborah. Yes, Issachar was with Barak, sent under his command into the valley. This verse illustrates that her authority was respected not only in civil and religious matters, but also in military affairs. Her spiritual authority is further emphasized in Judges 5:12, where she is reverently called upon. "Awake, awake, Deborah! Awake, awake, break out in song! Arise, Barak, and lead your captives away, son of Abinoam." This call demonstrates how she was viewed as a leader capable of inspiring and mobilizing God's people. At a time when Israel faced oppression and fear, Deborah stood out as a beacon of hope and wisdom. Her leadership combined unique aspects: the authority of a judge, the vision of a prophetess, and the care of a mother. Through her judgments under the palm, she prepared the people for one of the most decisive moments in their history. The pivotal moment in Deborah's story came when the Lord revealed his plan for delivering Israel. In response to the cries of a people suffering under Jabin's oppression, God communicated his strategy through his prophetess. Judges 4:6-7 captures this crucial moment. She sent for Barak, son of Abinoam from Kadesh in Naphtali, and said to him, "The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go, take with you 10,000 men of Naphtali and Zebulun and lead them up to Mount Tabor. I will lead Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and troops to the Kishon River and give him into your hands." The divine strategy was precise and deliberate. Mount Tabor was not chosen randomly. Its strategic location offered significant advantages to the Israelite army. Positioned on the border between the tribes of Zebulun and Issachar, the mountain rises majestically above the Jezreel Valley, providing a clear view of enemy movements and a natural defensive position. God revealed to Deborah that he would draw Sisera and his army to the Kishon River, a location that would prove decisive in the battle. The divine plan considered every detail, including the timing and place of the confrontation. As Judges 4:14 recounts, "Then Deborah said to Barak, 'Go! This is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you?'" The meeting with Barak was a defining moment. Deborah summoned him specifically from Kadesh in Naphtali, demonstrating that God had not only chosen the military leader, but also the region where the mobilization would begin. Barak, a respected warrior, hailed from Kadesh, a strategically significant location in Naphtali's territory. When Deborah relayed God's call for Barak to lead the army, his response revealed both faith and hesitation. Judges 4:8 records his condition. Barak said to her, "If you go with me, I will go, but if you don't go with me, I won't go." This response showed his recognition of Deborah's spiritual authority and his understanding that her presence was crucial for the mission's success. Barak's hesitation had consequences. Deborah delivered a prophecy that would shift the glory of victory. Judges 4:9 states, "Certainly I will go with you," said Deborah, "but because of the course you are taking, the honor will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman." This prophecy not only foreshadowed the outcome of the battle, but also revealed how God would use unexpected means to achieve his purposes. The mobilization of the tribes began immediately after this encounter. Judges 4:10 recounts, "Barak summoned Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and 10,000 men went up under his command. Deborah also went up with him." The text highlights the swift and efficient response to the call. 10,000 men volunteered for the battle. The unity of the tribes of Zebulun and Naphtali was especially significant. Judges 4:10 emphasizes their prompt response, which would prove critical for victory. Later, this unity is celebrated in Deborah's song in Judges 5:18. Zebulun risked their very lives, so did Naphtali on the terraced fields. Preparation for the confrontation involved more than assembling warriors. Judges 4:11 provides a crucial detail about strategic positioning. Now Heber the Kenite had left the other Kenites, the descendants of Hobab, Moses' brother-in-law, and pitched his tent by the great tree in Zaanannim near Kadesh. This seemingly incidental information would play a vital role in the battle's outcome. The preparations were not only military, but also spiritual. Deborah continued her prophetic role, ensuring every action was aligned with God's will. Judges 4:14 reflects her attentiveness to divine timing. Then Deborah said to Barak, "Go, this is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you?" The contrast between the two armies was striking. On one side stood Sisera with his 900 iron chariots and a vast number of warriors. On the other, 10,000 men from Zebulun and Naphtali, armed with faith in the God of Israel and led by a prophetess and a warrior who relied entirely on divine guidance. The stage was set for the decisive battle. The Israelite military strategy, divinely instructed, centered around Mount Tabor. This imposing mountain, standing 588 meters tall, rose in isolation above the vast Jezreel Valley, offering the Israelites a commanding view of the entire region. Judges 4:12 records the initial movements. When they told Sisera that Barak son of Abinoam had gone up to Mount Tabor, the Kishon River, winding through the plain below Mount Tabor, was to play a crucial role in the battle. In normal times, it was a modest stream, but during heavy rains, it could transform into a powerful torrent. Deborah's song later highlights its decisive contribution in Judges 5:21. The river Kishon swept them away, that ancient river, the river Kishon. March on, my soul, with might. The timing of the attack was divinely chosen. Judges 5:20 poetically narrates, "From the heavens the stars fought. From their courses they fought against Sisera." This passage suggests that even the forces of nature were aligned with the divine plan for this pivotal moment. On the other side of the battlefield, Sisera's formidable army approached with full strength. Judges 4:13 highlights the magnitude of his mobilization. Sisera summoned all his men and his 900 chariots fitted with iron from Harosheth Hagoyim to the Kishon River. Sisera's confidence in his military power was evident. His 900 iron chariots represented the pinnacle of military technology at the time, a force that had subjugated Israel for 2 decades. Deborah's song gives insight into this confidence in Judges 5:28, where even Sisera's mother expressed certainty in his victory. Through the window peered Sisera's mother. Behind the lattice, she cried out, "Why is his chariot so long in coming? Why is the clatter of his chariots delayed?" The Canaanite army clearly underestimated the Israelite forces. To them, a mere infantry led by a woman and a warrior from a northern tribe posed no real threat against their superior military might. Judges 5:19 describes the battleground. Kings came, they fought. The kings of Canaan fought at Taanach by the waters of Megiddo. They took no plunder of silver. The decisive confrontation began when Deborah gave the signal, as recorded in Judges 4:15-16. At Barak's advance, the Lord routed Sisera and all his chariots and army by the sword, and Sisera got down from his chariot and fled on foot. Barak pursued the chariots and army as far as Harosheth Hagoyim, and all Sisera's troops fell by the sword. Not a man was left. Divine intervention through nature was instrumental in Israel's victory. Deborah's song celebrates this in Judges 5:4-5. When you, Lord, went out from Seir, when you marched from the land of Edom, the earth shook, the heavens poured, the clouds poured down water. The mountains quaked before the Lord, the one of Sinai before the Lord, the God of Israel. A torrential rain transformed the battlefield. The iron chariots, once the pride of Sisera's army, became useless in the muddy terrain. Judges 5:22 vividly describes this. Then thundered the horses' hooves, galloping, galloping, go his mighty steeds. The Canaanite army's defeat was total. The Israelites, descending from Mount Tabor, launched a full-force attack as Sisera's army struggled against the conditions. Deborah's song commemorates the magnitude of the victory in Judges 5:11. The voice of the singers at the watering places, they recite the victories of the Lord, the victories of his villagers in Israel. Then the people of the Lord went down to the city gates. Amid the chaos, Sisera realized all was lost. Judges 5:26-27 recounts the climactic moment of his demise. Her hand reached for the tent peg, her right hand for the workman's hammer. She struck Sisera, she crushed his head, she shattered and pierced his temple. At her feet he sank, he fell, there he lay. At her feet he sank, he fell, where he sank, there he fell, dead. The once feared commander of Israel's oppressors fled on foot, abandoning his chariot and his army. Judges 5:15 highlights the desperate retreat. The princes of Issachar were with Deborah. Yes, Issachar was with Barak, sent under his command into the valley. In the districts of Reuben, there was much searching of heart. Sisera's desperate flight marked the end of an era of oppression for Israel and fulfilled Deborah's prophecy that glory would come in an unexpected way. What seemed an impossible battle ended in a resounding victory for Israel. A small force, armed with faith and obedience to God's word, had overcome one of the region's most powerful armies. This was a clear demonstration of how God can use the improbable to accomplish his purposes, and how faithfulness to his commands yields results that transcend human limitations. While Sisera's army was being defeated on the plain, its commander fled desperately on foot, seeking to escape the reach of Barak and his men. The biblical text reveals in Judges 4:17 the direction he took. Sisera, however, fled on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, because there was an alliance between Jabin, king of Hazor, and the family of Heber the Kenite. Sisera's search for refuge was not random. He was aware of the alliance between his king, Jabin, and Heber's family. As foreigners living in Israelite territory, the Kenites maintained a policy of neutrality, forging strategic alliances with different peoples to ensure their survival. Judges 4:11 had already mentioned, now Heber the Kenite had left the other Kenites and pitched his tent by the great tree in Zananim near Kadesh. Sisera's arrival at Jael's tent is detailed in Judges 4:18. Jael went out to meet Sisera and said to him, "Come, my lord, come right in, don't be afraid." So he entered her tent, and she covered him with a blanket. Sisera's choice of Jael's tent was deliberate, as the women's tent was considered an inviolable space in that culture, a place where no man would dare to search for a fugitive. Jael demonstrated extraordinary cunning in her role. She initiated contact with Sisera, an unusual act for a woman of her time. As recorded in Judges 4:19, he said to her, "I'm thirsty, please give me some water." She opened a skin of milk, gave him a drink, and covered him up. Her strategy of hospitality was meticulously calculated. The text in Judges 4:19-20 shows how she went beyond his initial request for water. She opened a skin of milk, gave him a drink, and covered him up. "Stand in the doorway of the tent," he told her. "If someone comes by and asks you, 'Is anyone in there?' say, 'No.'" The milk she offered was not a random choice. It was curdled milk, a drink that not only refreshed, but also induced sleep. This detail is emphasized in Deborah's song in Judges 5:25. He asked for water, and she gave him milk. In a bowl fit for nobles, she brought him curdled milk. The decisive moment came when Sisera, fully trusting in the protection offered and exhausted from battle and his escape, fell into a deep sleep. Judges 4:21 describes Jael's precise and courageous action. But Jael, Heber's wife, picked up a tent peg and a hammer and went quietly to him while he lay fast asleep, exhausted. She drove the peg through his temple into the ground and he died. Jael's execution of her plan showcased not only her courage, but also her unwavering determination. She transformed ordinary tools, a tent peg and hammer, typically used to secure tents, into instruments of liberation for Israel. Deborah's song celebrates this moment with additional details in Judges 5:24. Most blessed of women be Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, most blessed of tent-dwelling women. The fulfillment of Deborah's prophecy unfolded in an unexpected manner. When Barak arrived in pursuit of Sisera, Jael came out to meet him. As recorded in Judges 4:22, just then, Barak came by in pursuit of Sisera, and Jael went out to meet him. "Come," she said, "I will show you the man you're looking for." So he went in with her, and there lay Sisera with the tent peg through his temple, dead. The glory of victory, as prophesied by Deborah, was given to a woman. Deborah's song celebrates this fact with words that reveal the stark contrast between expectation and reality. In Judges 5:28-30, the false hope of Sisera's mother is described. Through the window peered Sisera's mother. Behind the lattice she cried out, "Why is his chariot so long in coming? Why is the clatter of his chariots delayed?" The wisest of her ladies answer her. Indeed, she keeps saying to herself, "Are they not finding and dividing the spoils, a woman or two for each man?" Barak's encounter with Jael marked the complete fulfillment of the prophecy, as described in Judges 4:23-24. On that day, God subdued Jabin, king of Canaan, before the Israelites. And the hand of the Israelites pressed harder and harder against Jabin, king of Canaan, until they destroyed him. Deborah's prophecy was confirmed, not only through Sisera's death at the hands of a woman, but also through Israel's complete liberation from Canaanite oppression. This victory, achieved through the unlikely combination of a prophetess, a hesitant general, and a foreign woman, once again demonstrated how God uses the unexpected to accomplish his purposes. Deborah's legacy finds its most powerful expression in the song she composed with Barak after their victory. This hymn of praise, recorded in Judges 5:1, begins with a profound declaration. Then Deborah and Barak, son of Abinoam, sang on that day, saying. The Song of Deborah is a masterpiece of Hebrew poetry. Its poetic structure reveals careful composition, alternating between historical narrative and praise. Early in the song, in Judges 5:3, it establishes a tone of worship. "Hear, O kings, give ear, O princes. I, even I, will sing to the Lord. I will sing praise to the Lord God of Israel." The historical elements preserved in the song are invaluable for understanding not only the battle, but the entire period. In Judges 5:13-14, we find details about the tribes that participated. Then the survivors came down, the people against the nobles. The Lord came down for me against the mighty. From Ephraim came those whose roots were in Amalek. Benjamin followed after you among your people. From Machir commanders came down, and from Zebulun those who bear the captain's staff. Praise to God for the victory permeates the entire song. In Judges 5:31, Deborah concludes with one of the most beautiful declarations of praise. Thus let all your enemies perish, O Lord, but let those who love you be like the sun when it comes out in its full strength. This conclusion not only celebrates the victory, but establishes an eternal principle about the ultimate triumph of those who love God. The impact of Deborah's leadership on Israel was profound and enduring. As recorded in Judges 5:31, then the land had peace for 40 years. This period of peace was one of the longest recorded in the book of Judges, demonstrating the effectiveness of her leadership combined with the people's faithfulness to God. The restoration of the people's dignity is celebrated in Judges 5:2. that the leaders took the lead in Israel, that the people offered themselves willingly. Bless the Lord. This verse highlights how Deborah's leadership inspired both leaders and common people to rise up and act courageously. The example of female leadership set by Deborah was revolutionary for her time. In Judges 5:7, she identifies herself as a mother in Israel, a title that combines authority with maternal care. This unique combination of strength and nurture established a new paradigm of leadership that transcended the gender limitations of her era. Her story also leaves timeless lessons about the importance of faith and obedience. In Judges 5:16, she questions those who hesitated. Why did you sit among the sheepfolds to hear the piping for the flocks? In the divisions of Reuben, there were great searchings of heart. This passage teaches the necessity of acting when God calls, without allowing doubt or complacency to paralyze us. The role of women in God's plan is magnificently illustrated through Deborah. In Judges 5:24, she celebrates another woman, Jael, saying, "Most blessed among women is Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Blessed is she among women in tents." This blessing demonstrates how God powerfully uses women in his plan of redemption. The combination of spiritual and civil leadership exemplified by Deborah is seen in Judges 5:9. My heart is with Israel's princes, with the willing volunteers among the people. Praise the Lord. This verse shows how she valued both civil and spiritual authority, recognizing that both come from God. The power of unity among God's people is celebrated in various parts of the song. In Judges 5:15, she praises those who joined the cause. The princes of Issachar were with Deborah. Yes, Issachar was with Barak, sent under his command into the valley. This unity of purpose and action was crucial to the victory. The song also preserves an important lesson about the danger of neutrality in critical moments. In Judges 5:23, Deborah declares, "Curse Meroz," said the angel of the Lord. "Curse its inhabitants bitterly, because they did not come to help the Lord against the mighty." Deborah's wisdom in recognizing and honoring those who contributed to the victory is evident in Judges 5:17-18. Gilead stayed beyond the Jordan, and Dan, why did he linger by the ships? Asher remained on the seashore and stayed in his coves. The people of Zebulun risked their very lives, so did Naphtali on the terraced fields. This recognition demonstrates her ability to value different forms of contribution to the common cause. The lasting impact of her leadership is evidenced not only in the 40 years of peace, but also in the transformation of Israelite society. In Judges 5:8-9, she contrasts the past with the present. When new gods were chosen, war came to the city gates, and not a shield or spear was seen among 40,000 in Israel. My heart is with Israel's princes, with the willing volunteers among the people. Praise the Lord. Deborah's legacy continues to live on through the timeless lessons of her story. The importance of trusting God, even in seemingly impossible situations, the value of leadership rooted in wisdom and spiritual discernment, and the transformative power of obedience to God's will.